Hello and welcome to my channel. This is my second try at this video. This is a card, so I'm going to talk about the Emperor, and it is a card I really struggle with. And also my Kate Bush song, I kept changing my mind. It seemed like an obvious choice, this song I've chosen for the Emperor, but I kept thinking, I do not know how I feel about this song, and I feel quite uncomfortable with this song. Is it a song that I want to include in my tarot deck? So this is just the traditional representation of the Emperor. And it represents, I think, or when I see it, I find it a little bit triggering, and it suggests to me this old white man ruling his empire. It just suggests to me colonialism, patriarchy, all the things that I hope we're trying to get away from now, today. And I mean, actually, in this representation, you could think, well, he almost, he doesn't look particularly cruel, I don't think. Maybe the way Pamela Coleman Smith has done his face. But I think there's an element of cruelty and domination and exploitation. That's the shadow side. So, but of course, that is my interpretation, and I'm bringing lots of baggage to a card that I don't like. So it is something that I am trying to find, what is the energy? So if we think of an archetype as an energy, and that, what is the more positive representation of that energy? How can we get to the Emperor where it's more about empowerment of ourselves and using power for good, so empowerment of other people, rather than enslaving them and using them for our own ends. So, right, let's just get rid of him. Now, this is a gorgeous deck. This is one of my favourite, if not my favourite decks ever. It is by the artist Ithell Colquhoun. I also wanted to show this because at the moment in the Tate there is an exhibition of Ithell Colquhoun's work, which is absolutely amazing. It is on until the 19th of October. So if you are near London, I would recommend going to see it. The tarot cards, only thing I would say is the way they've displayed the tarot cards is so they've put all the major arcana in one picture frame, and then, you know, all the wands together, and the only thing I would say is it's not in the order that Ithell Colquhoun intended herself, as I understand it. She incorporated the major arcana within the suits. So actually these are part of the wands suits, and these are all quite close together in order. I think it goes Emperor, and then I think actually we might have the Wheel of Fortune, and then we've got Tower, maybe then we've got Devil, I can't remember exact order, and then we've got the Sun. But I wanted to show these three because I think they're very similar. They show such force, and I mean, they're beautiful, aren't they? They're absolutely incredible, and I think they show us something interesting about the Emperor here. There is, I get here, I feel like this is quite a progression actually, but I get the sense of like that Aries sort of beginning energy of something being initiated. And of course, then we have with the Tower, we have this destruction of old kind of structures that maybe have served the Emperor well, but this is really getting away from this. Tower is about breaking that status quo, breaking really up and all that ego-bound stuff that the Emperor has built. And then we have the Sun, and I think the Sun is a really good metaphor for the Emperor as well, because the Sun, if we think of the Sun, it's about balance, isn't it? We definitely can have too much. It can be, you know, it makes us feel positive, it can bring warmth, it helps things grow, but also it can burn. It can be unremitting. We need the rain. We need the shade as well. So I think this shows these. I love these together because it shows this kind of just the raw energy that maybe exists in the emperor, and it's away from the whole issues of patriarchy in our society. Really, it's just, you know, the emperor could just represent something beginning or coming into our own power or making a decision and then acting on it, and something is, you know, growing. So it can be a far more kind of neutral, if you like. Is neutral the right word? But it doesn't have to be weighed down by all those connotations of the emperor word. I think that's what I'm saying. Right, so saying all that, I think the Kate Bush song choice is on the negative side of the emperor. Well, it definitely is. Which is why I kept thinking, do I want to include this song? Right, so let me show you that card. And I'm hoping that I've got around it, got a way to make me feel more comfortable with it. Okay, and so I'm going to show you the card, just talk about the song, and then I'm going to read from Kate Bush's encyclopedia what Kate Bush herself has said about this song. And then I'm just going to say why I've changed it a little bit to make myself more comfortable with it. So this is actually from Hounds of Love video, okay? But I've used this, I'll explain why in a minute. The song itself is Hedwig's Dancing from Sensual World, and the lyric I chose was Standing with Your Head Held High, which is when she sees him in the photo. And I thought standing with your head held high is a real emperor pose, isn't it? Right, so let me just read what Kate Bush herself has said about this song, because it's a really good summary of her thinking behind the lyrics. Okay, so she has said, I wrote the song in lots of ways. I wouldn't write a song like it now. I really hate it if people were offended by this, but it was all started by a family friend years ago who'd been to dinner and sat next to this guy who was really fascinating, so charming. They sat all night chatting and joking, and next day he found out it was Oppenheimer. And this friend was horrified because he really despised what the guy stood for. So, and then she goes on to say, so I'll just miss out the bit she was saying about Oppenheimer. So, but I was so intrigued by this idea of my friend being so taken in by this person until they knew who they were. And then it completely changed their attitude. So I was thinking, what if you met the devil, the ultimate one, charming, elegant, well-spoken? Then it turned into this whole idea of a girl being at a dance and this guy coming up, cocky and charming, and she dances with him. Then a couple of days later, she sees in the paper that it was Hitler. Complete horror. She was that close, perhaps could have changed history. So I think there she says in another interview about the whole idea that she could have even killed him or something, or stopped him. And Hitler was very attractive to women because he was such a powerful figure, yet such an evil guy. I'd hate to feel I was glorifying the situation, but I do know that whereas in a piece of film, it would be quite acceptable, in a song it's a little bit more sensitive. And yeah, and I agree with her in that, and lots of Kate Bush's songs are very much inspired by films. And I think sometimes that there is something about a song, maybe it's because we hear it again and again, and the way we absorb it, that it is, I don't know, I do understand what I mean, but I don't understand what she's saying, but I don't really understand why it is. But I can see her point. In a film, we know it's a fantasy, we're less bothered by it. In a song, maybe we think of it as more personal, and the whole thing of Hitler being in the song and him being some romantic interest I suppose it's because in a song we actually picture Hitler himself, as if it was a film. We see the actor, don't we? I think that might be partly why. So I was no way I was going to put Hitler on a card from my tarot deck. So I instead I chose Hounds of Love. I thought he was kind of what I imagined as a sort of debonair man. I like to imagine heads were dancing not as Hitler, but just as some good-looking, morally reprehensible man, but not someone as extreme as Hitler. And I think when we get away from the Hitler thing, which I think is problematic, I think the actual song says something really interesting about why we might be attracted to powerful people, while deep down, I think, sensing that there is something ruthless and even cruel about them. What is it about? I mean, she says women in particular, but I think maybe it isn't even gendered. I think it's more of a power thing. But what is it about people who feel less powerful, say, or like traditionally women? What is it about attracts them to powerful men like an emperor type figure? And is it that we as a culture are bringing women up to feel that they can't embody these qualities themselves, so they have to they find them in their partners instead? And I think there is something in that. There still is something in, unfortunately, I think, still there. And maybe this comes now, when I think of it personally, this comes to me. Am I partly uncomfortable with this card because I'm partly uncomfortable with accepting my own power? Am I projecting power onto other people, or onto men, and thinking, is it my automatic reaction to think of power as a dangerous and destructive thing, rather than something that can be a force for good? So I think this card is it's something, and this is what I love about the tarot and the archetypes. It really makes you kind of think, and you reflect. And I think the cards that I struggle with particularly are probably the ones which I need to even meditate, or really sit with and think, well, what is it about? Because especially when you look at the Ithell Colquhoun card, this isn't really anything about gender or society or anything. It's a neutral thing. It's an energy. It is the start of something creative. It could be seen as something really beautiful. It's society that's added all these other layers onto it, isn't it? So I now feel quite happy with this card, because I've changed. I feel like, even though I've changed the song really, and it's no longer in my head, it's no longer about Hitler. It's about just some glamorous businessman, if you like. That's what he looks like to me in here. And also I like the link with Hounds of Love, which I have interpreted as the Knight of Cups, because also the Knight of Cups is sort of easily led. They're romantic. They like to see the good in people. Or that can be one side of the Knight of Cups. And, they get carried away and they want to rescue. They are the Knight of Cups, you could say, would be the person says, oh, but they've got a sensitive side. Yeah, they're really difficult, and they work really hard, and They just need someone. They just need someone to love and understand them. So that could be the side of it as well. So I think now I've come to peace with this, and that's my take. As always, really interested if you've got any thoughts about the Emperor or this song, which I think is quite a controversial song. Thanks as always for watching. Goodbye.